Thank you. Thank you very much. I pace a little bit. I don't normally stand in front of 400 people on a stage and talk. Most of my work with communities is done in small groups and conversations. So, I asked my family if it was okay if I brought an image with me to sort of help boost me up, lift me up, and propel me forward, give me energy. And they all said no. So, looks like we're all in this together, so let's get started. My name is Ken Boone, and I'm a community planner. It's an unassailably cool job. I get to go to communities around the country. I get to help uncover what those aspirations are. I get to help them understand better the challenges that they face, and then I get to help put a roadmap together for their future. That's cool. It allows me to do something different every time, meet new people, engage in what are often very difficult conversations, but know that it has meaning as we move forward. This work that we do in creating that roadmap is what us as consultants do, travel around. But I think we're really good at being experts, right? Being experts in a room. And over my career, what I've learned is we're oftentimes not very good at listening. And so my work for the last 15 years has really been based on the idea of listening. Listening so it can drive understanding better so we can create better outcomes for our communities. So how many of you have walked into a public meeting? Hopefully you're engaging in some sort of public discourse. You walk into a public meeting and arrayed in front of you are easels, right? Boards on them. Polished, rendered drawings, lots of photographs, lots of technical jargon. In between those groups of boards are professionals typically standing very stiffly, almost daring you to ask them a question. And having been that person, I can tell you, I probably didn't even hear your question. I wanted to demonstrate what an expert I was, so as soon as I saw a pause in your sentence, blah, 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 right? Whether that was the answer that you wanted or not. And I realized there's a huge gap here that we're missing. How do we make our projects better instead of just seeing that we're the experts in the room? This is a quote. It's attributed to Henry Ford. There's some argument about this, but if you look at it, it's pretty famous. You can just see this in a smoky boardroom, right? A whole bunch of industrialists sitting around. It's almost like a punchline, right? Attributed to Henry Ford, whether he said it or not, the reality is this is what Henry Ford thought. He was the ultimate expert in the room. He didn't need to hear anything from his customers because he knew better. What did that do? Well, it opened the door to the early American automotive industry. They came in and said, well, sure, I'll make it in blue. Sure, I'll make it in red. I'll make it in green. I'll put a roof on it. I'll give you a bigger engine. I'll make it more comfortable. And so because he thought he was the expert in the room and knew better and not listening, he let all these other competition grow. And so if he would have listened and then used his expertise, that may not have happened. Second scenario, I used to stand in front of groups of people, 10, 20, 50 people, flip charts like you saw it there today, I hope. Big black marker, a list of questions. Many of you have probably done this or been involved in an exercise like this, and I wanted to show that I was the expert in the room, so I stood at the front, and in my best architectural block lettering, I wrote the first question. Just go ahead and, when you got an idea, throw it up here. First person trying to prime the pump. It's going slow. The first person finally says something. Okay. So I write it down, and it's nice block lettering. And then the second person, oh, okay, we can do this. They write it down, so now I'm writing faster, and it's in italics, right? And then the second one is not quite done, and the third one says something, so now I'm writing in cursive. And then the next one comes, and it's just chicken scratch that even I can't read. And I'm worried about what the third one said because I hadn't finished the second one's comment, and now I have to go back to the third one and finish it, and I don't even remember what the fourth one said, and 5 and 6 have already said something. And I realized that I was the block. I was the one in the way of listening and understanding because I wanted to be the expert in the room. I wanted all of it to come through me, to control it, to own it, to seem like I was the one that was in charge. And I clearly was not. So, how could I possibly walk into a room like this? This is half of what this room was. This was a charrette for a downtown. How could I possibly get all of the information? Look at all the conversations and the little things that are happening here. How could I ever get that recorded? Those thousands of things that are being talked about. I had no way to do that. I couldn't put a flip chart up there and go, hey, let's talk about this one thing here, and then we're going to go around the room for 12 hours and try and record all that. Nonsense, right? So, I happened on a very analog, low-tech solution. And it took a little bit to fully embrace it as a tool. We have a lot of tools in our toolbox when we focus on community engagement. Some of them are very high-tech. A lot of them are digital and online, and we do a lot of analog stuff where we sketch and we put options in front of people. But how do you get the feedback? How do you listen to understand better? It's pretty simple. This little square of paper with the best adhesive devised and known to man was the solution. The Post-it, a 40-plus-year-old piece of technology, unlocked for us the idea of how do we get out of the way? Well, sure, I'm going to work out the questions because I need to know something here. I need to know what I need to ask. But the beauty of it was people get to say this stuff in their own words, in their own language, at their own pace, anonymously, and they can answer 10 times or they can answer 1 time. All these challenges we've had in public discourse and public meetings that have driven people away, there's no chance to soapbox when I'm responding to questions on a Post-it. What are you going to say? Listen to me? Right? So now I've taken away those barriers for people to come, and I've also taken away the barriers for people to engage. And what happens around these very simple things is a lot of conversations with people that you never knew, a lot of one-on-one talks, a lot of group talks. We've even seen something put up and then a conversation occur on these boards that are connected with arrows and everything else. It's amazing. They can be very simple questions. These 2 questions here, what's working, what's not. A lot of one-word answers there, right? Priming the pump. Here's a much more difficult question about mental health in their community and what are they struggling with. Longer answers, bigger paragraphs, in their own words, so that we're not in the way and already starting to edit. And that's the problem, I think, when we are, as consultants, when we ask for comment in public engagement, we want to edit what you're saying before we even write it down. And this completely changes that. It also, in our design charrettes that are focused on physical design challenges, it also lets me get direct feedback of things people hate and things people love, or everything in between. So it's such a simple thing. You've probably all been involved in them. But what it creates for us are thousands of bits of data there's no other way to collect. I am amazed by the technology that's been shown here today. And I walk in with Post-its. Let me tell you what I found out today. We asked 3 questions in the exhibit hall. We wanted to know what the attendees' favorite restaurants are. Let me know if any of this surprises you. Union Bear, right? Gloria's, and Torchy's. Sounds good to me. I've been to Union Bear twice on this trip. Question 2, what's your favorite place in Plano? Our job is placemaking, right? How do we create these places that are filled with heart and soul for our communities? You said historic downtown. I absolutely agree with that one. And Legacy West. When my wife came in town, I had to take her to Legacy West so she could see it. I have done a lot of entertainment destination projects, and it's still one that I would show to everybody just how cool it is. And then question 3, what did you want to learn today at TEDx? AI and innovation, new ideas, and then my favorite that was on there, I want to hear my dad. That's pretty cool, right? So, I know this is a really simple analog sort of thing. There is a lot of complexity that goes into how do you sort, how do you organize, how do you understand better, because we listened to the potential of all these things that you needed to tell. You needed to feel like you had a voice in that room, and that I wasn't just going to stand there to spout things at you as an expert, and you absolutely knew that that was going to change nothing, right? This process for us changed our work because we decided we wanted to listen so we could better understand and ultimately serve our communities better. Thank you very much.